Welcome to the Epic Company Culture Podcast, where your host, Josh Sweeney, will give you, the business leaders, HR professionals, and company culture aficionados, the knowledge you need to take your company culture to the next level.
Hello, fellow culturists, and welcome to the Epic Company Culture Podcast. Before I get started, I'd like to thank Prototype Prime for this amazing podcasting space. Today is part of our Sales Culture series, and we have Rob Strikwerda from the Georgia Swarm Pro Lacrosse.
Yes.
Ultimate in Atlanta box lacrosse, right? Or in the country, really. We've already won a championship.
Yes.
So the top box lacrosse team in the country, in the North America. Where are we at now?
2017 world champions.
World champion.
We came a game short from repeating last year. But we definitely, I would say, are the kings of the Southeast.
Nice.
The closest team is New England, Buffalo, Rochester, Colorado.
Yeah.
So we're looking for some more teams to come down and join us down this neck of the woods. So
yeah, maybe even somebody that can challenge us.
Yes.
A little bit, right?
Exactly.
So introduce yourself and tell us about Georgia Swarm for those who don't know anything about it.
Sure. Rob Strikwerda, been in professional sports for 24 years now. Started with the Padres, worked 20 years with the Clippers, worked for the Dodgers in there in between, came out here, helped the Braves open up SunTrust Park, and then have cooked up with the Georgia Swarm. So like many people, I did not know about professional indoor lacrosse before I came out. Got a chance to see the game and got hooked immediately. It's an aggressive, fun, high-paced game where there is a lot of activity. Teams score about 20, 25 goals a game, so a lot more than what you're dealing with on the outdoor game. And I still ask 2-3 times a game, like, is that legal? Can they do that?
Right.
I know they're penalty box and there are infractions, but it feels like they're just for like holding and, moving screens and things that it's not hitting people with sticks or two-hand chucking into the board. So it's a really fun sport, high-paced, a lot of energy, and we've got a great product. I always say we're the best-kept secret in Georgia, really. We did bring a championship here in 2017. Everyone thinks that United were the first team to bring one since the, 92 Braves, but nope, we've got that title. And having a ball with it this year. Our attendance is increasing. We're sitting currently third place in our division, 2 games out of first, but we got a couple of those guys on the schedule coming up. So, I mean, it's anybody's ball game going down the stretch.
Yeah, both my kids play lacrosse, and we've gone to a few games, and it's definitely a lot of fun. I mean, they enjoy that. Every time you score, you stand up and dance, and It's amazing they score 20 to 25 because the goalies are as wide as the goal with all the pads and everything that they have on. It's funny to watch them put their pads on because they go from a very athletic, skinny guy to very wide and very robust.
Yes, very small holes to score. And it seems like the more dynamic you are flying through the crease, the more opportunity you have to score. But very rarely do you get guys just shooting on goal from, 15, 20 meters and scoring. There's a lot of misdirection and back cuts and flying through and hitting the small holes because there aren't many. Much smaller goal than the outdoor game.
Yeah, definitely a lot more exciting than many of the other sports I've attended. Super cost-effective in Gwinnett.
Yes.
So it's easy to take the family to. It's been a blast.
I agree. Infinite Energy Arena, very intimate arena in comparison to a lot of the other arenas for hockey and basketball. This is we seat 10,500. Parking is free. We have affordable concessions. It's based for the kids, and we have more season ticket holders that buy after coming to their first game than any other sport I've ever been involved with. So it's really cool. It's an instant connection with everyone that comes in, even when they don't understand the game.
Yeah, that's awesome. I know we got connected because I went to a coach's clinic that the Swarm was putting on. So, we got to meet players, go in the locker room, meet the owner, yourself, all kinds of team members. So thank you for putting on the coach's clinic.
That's cool.
That was a great impact, and everybody loved the pictures that we brought back from that. So this episode's all about sales culture, and you're the head of ticket sales. You're the ticket sales manager. So you have a whole team of people that are, I'm guessing, pretty hyper local, to the Atlanta area, maybe even heavily in Gwinnett, feet on the street, out there selling tickets, right?
Exactly. We are a grassroots marketing organization. You don't see a lot of TV, print media. We put all of our resources in the community and our season ticket holders, and also like feet on the street type of mentality, where we believe in growing from the grassroots campaign. We want to get the kids involved as much as humanly possible as they grow, and as lacrosse is growing in Georgia, the more successful they are, the more successful we are. So we know there's a synergy there, and have been having a lot of success this season, particularly on continually getting out community groups. We do our faith and family nights. Saturday night we have our big heroes night. So there's something connecting everyone to the community in some capacity.
Awesome. Yeah. Well, I see it out there every day. I see the communications and everything come out. So everybody looks like they're doing their job, firing all cylinders. I think I met one of the ticket salespeople at a Gwinnett Chamber event one time. Yeah. So, definitely out there. So on the sales side, we're going to jump into the sales culture aspect. First, I'm going to go back before the Swarm, learn a little bit about sales culture and the teams that you've led. You mentioned baseball teams. I think, was there a basketball team in there? Yeah. Clippers. Yeah. Padres, things like that. Now lacrosse. What have you seen in some of those organizations that was just core to the sales culture? What were things that the sales team did in their culture that maybe the rest of the company didn't do? What the ethos of it?
Yes. So when it comes to any kind of professional sports sales, it's a 24/7 job. It's not like you just take your hat off and you're like, hey, I'm out for the weekend, because it's constant. That's the difference between our sales department and our marketing or community relations or things of that nature. It is constant. You are bumping into people at the store, you're going to networking events, you're doing a lot of community work as well, because the more involved we are in helping the community, the more connection. People don't care what you know until they know that you care, really, is kind of our mentality. So focusing on not a 9 to 5. If you think it's going to be a 9 to 5 job, then that's not the job for you. So what's been consistent across the board is everybody, your cell phones are on your business cards, because you're going to get calls at all hours at any time, especially when it comes to service and helping. And the more problems you can solve, the more successful you're going to be. So that's a consistent, constant in sports sales. That's not a job that everybody really wants to do. They want to check out, and especially if you have kids and you have stuff going on, there's just a lot of inopportune phone calls, and wives can get a little angry in that kind of moment. So it's a tough grind, but it's just a team mentality. That's been every successful sales department I've been in. That is like the mindset going in and how we treat it. We also take care of time off. If you're working 2 weekends, we work out schedules. We're not here to burn anybody out. But that's been a successful thing that I've seen with the Padres. When I started, that was a single-A franchise. The Clippers, 41 games a year, and on top of that, you're looking at every holiday, Martin Luther King, President's Day, New Year's, Christmas Day. You're working a lot of hours. So burnout can be a problem, but that's something you just keep in mind going in. And then with the Dodgers, that culture is unique to anything else I've ever been a part of, because it is such a family-oriented organization. All of your Hall of Famers are walking the halls. All of your VIPs are there constantly. It is an open door policy for them. So you may have, someone come sit down next to you, and, that's how I met Vin Scully. He sat down next to me as I was making a call, and he goes, that was a really interesting call. Could you tell me about that client? And I just sat there and shared it with him, and just an incredibly nice guy. Like, he has so many other things to do than sit down and talk to what a salesman's doing in his office. And then the Georgia Swarm is a very family-oriented. We are a smaller organization, but as far as connectiveness, we are tied into everybody. We're not working with a big office space, so we are consistently in each other's business, I guess you would have to say, because we are counting on each other to help each other solve our objectives and meet our goals.
Yeah, so with that, with them knowing that they're going to be getting calls all times a day throughout the year. I'm guessing during off season, you're still trying to sell season tickets and other, schedule events for the upcoming season. How do they get that time off? How does that usually work? Or is it one of those things where, ticket sales generally leads into another position with a sports franchise, or like, how does that look?
So typically a sports organization will do the majority of their sales during games, when there are games being played, when you get eyeballs on the game. You're going to sell 75 to 80% of your tickets then. Then you go through your renewals, and during the summer is really kind of recalibrating what worked, what didn't, what kind of programs can we put together for next season, and then also we're just flooding the community. We're getting involved in every festival, every odds and ends, so we're going to work probably the same type of hours, but it's not going to have that stress of like, hey, we got a game in a week that we got to sell X amount of tickets for. So it's a lot more of a relaxed, more fun, entertaining type of atmosphere than what you have during a season where it's like goal-driven. You got X amount of time in the office. You have X amount of calls you got to make. You got to connect with so many people. So summer is more forward thinking, I would say, as opposed to, it's more proactive.
Okay.
During the season, unfortunately, a lot of stuff we have to do is a lot of reactive. We all work better in a proactive environment. However, you could get a season ticket holder call you immediately about a problem, and that's going to take the next 45 minutes of your day and kind of throw you off a little bit. So good salesmen can handle that kind of stuff, but work best when they're in a proactive environment.
Got it. What are some other aspects of culture that you've seen in these sports franchises and maybe even at the Swarm where, do they have call quotas? Like, what are the other bounds that are put on teams? I'm assuming you have to sell a certain number of tickets. You probably have to book a certain percentage of a game. What are put on those individuals that are part of that other than the time element?
Just to give you a little bit about the Swarm, we have game goals. We play 18 games total. 9 of them are home, 9 of them are on the road, and we play Friday, Saturday, Sunday. So it's not typically your monthly outlook where, hey, I got to do this over the course of a month. It is revenue goals and ticket goals per game. So you're laying it out, you're building your pipeline, and you're doing projections on what you think you're going to be able to bring in. And then obviously we help from the management and director positions to kind of get them there, because you're going to get all different level of seasoned sales staff depending on the organization you're in. We're very lucky because we have someone that's worked with the Atlanta Dream for multiple years, someone that's worked with the Falcons for a couple years. I've got a lot of years of experience on my end. We have another one that's come from NASCAR at the Brickyard Indy 500 type of thing. So we've got some experience here, and it's not selling, or it's not training from the get-go. We will train on certain modules and certain things that they need help on, but we've got a team that can get out and run. So a typical day, your minimum is 75 calls. You're trying to get over 100. But the more activity you have, the more meetings you schedule, the more networking events you have, obviously those numbers fluctuate. So, if you're not out of the office, we want 100 calls. We want documentation in Salesforce. We want to see your pipeline, see how it grows from there. That's specific to the Georgia Swarm. When you start looking at some, like the NBA, you have monthly goals. I will do this, and they need to be specific, measurable, action-oriented, results-driven, and the tasks necessary. We call them SMART goals. Yeah. And that is a little bit more specific. I'm going to do this. I'm going to sell in this category. I'm going to do that. And that is monthly meetings, mid-month meetings, and then usually some type of one-on-one in between.
Yeah, and just to clarify, you said you had 18 games at 9 are at home. So is the ultimate goal to basically sell out 9 games? That's the goal for the year. That would be ideal. That's
the ideal, and that puts a lot more stress on the sales staff because once it's gone, it's gone. That's 10% or more than 10% of your season. Same thing with the NFL.
Yeah,
it's like they turn and go, and that revenue's gone, and that's a big chunk of revenue. Basketball, you got 41 games. Major League Baseball, you got 81. So,
I got invited to walk through a suite for the Mercedes-Benz, and you know, they were trying to sell me the suite for the company and everything else. And I was like, you know, I'm guessing this is a bit pricey. And then, you know, they got to the price and everything. I'm like, yeah, that's a lot. And it's a long commitment. And I said, well, you know, how many home games? I never really thought about it. Even though I watched football, I never thought about how many home games there were. And they're like, 8. I'm like, that's a lot of money for 8 games. Games in a season. Yeah. So yeah, I mean, similar to that, you know, one game's over. There's no recovering if you didn't hit your sales numbers that game. It's already gone. There's not a way to catch up. Essentially, I'm guessing.
We try not to micromanage, but at the same time, there's a lot of stress and there's a lot of resources going to each one of these games. So you really need to hit our targets. There are times that we can't. The schedule comes out. We've got a game the day before Easter, which is tough. We got a game during spring break, which I'm new to Georgia, so I hear during spring break week, like this whole state leaves and heads to Florida.
Pretty much.
I'm learning about that, so that's going to make the game on 4-5 a lot more challenging. And then, you know, where we play, we are in Duluth, and we do great from right around us. We pull from people everywhere. It's hard to get people from inside the perimeter out to Duluth on a Friday night game. So we have 4 of those this year, so that kind of segments the areas in which we can target.
Gotcha.
Because I've tried to do it, and people think I'm crazy if I'm trying to talk them into coming from like Buckhead to Duluth on a Friday night. It's like
they don't go outside the perimeter.
That's crazy talk. Are you kidding me? No, that's not happening. Yeah. So I'm learning some of the nuances of selling in Georgia.
Of the Atlanta area. Yeah. So as far as, you know, on the sales culture side, what would you say are some of the things that you've seen that were just, and you don't have to name any franchises, of course, but they were just blunders, like, you know, people that just mismanagement or, you know, lack of quota, or like where do things go wrong in sports?
So many different ways. I've worked for the LA Clippers for 20 years. So let's see, my overall record with them was 628 wins and 916 losses. That's my career. So you don't need to be successful to be a successful sales franchise. So I've seen a lot of people come through, a lot of directors. We've had some different VPs. And the biggest thing is when people push instead of pull. You know, you get leaders that, people that are in leadership that come in and just start pushing people into certain areas. Like, hey, you're doing this because, as opposed to getting out in front, leading by example, and pulling the sales team along with them. That's the definition of a leader in my eyes. That's where I've seen it's kind of gone wrong. People get into the micromanaging aspect and just suffocate the personality of a salesman, because that's as important as their desire, their motivation, their ability. Their personality is the stuff that engages them with their clients. If you have a dial tone for a sales guy, they're going to struggle. You know, it's just their voicemails are so it's the same thing with like a director or VP, guys that are more apt to being in front of a computer as opposed to being out in front of somebody and leading by example. That's the biggest thing that I've seen over the course of my career, and it happens more times than you think it would, because you would think in sports sales, I mean, these are men leading men, you know, guys that can close anyone. You know, like, hey, this is where we're going, follow me. Unfortunately, there's people that can't close a door, can't lead you out of a room. And
right.
You just try to work around. Hopefully the support system you have in that sales department can help with those goals that you're trying to get to.
Yeah, I mean, I know I've definitely seen it in my last company. I did CRM implementations and like Salesforce, things like that. And it was really tough to walk in and have a manager that the manager didn't know all the function of the job, wouldn't pick up and call somebody. It was, they're just telling the other people on the team they need to do this, but they can't walk them through how to make that cold call or, what the reasons are that you say certain things. So I think that's the difference between the push and pull, as you said, on sales. Have you ever seen or been or maybe seen a game where it was just a total flop, like the sales just didn't happen? Like you're having a great year and one game just didn't sell the same way? And what causes things like that?
Well, this particular year, we had like a 2-week lockout with the NLL. Just getting, and National Lacrosse League, the players don't live in the cities that they play in. There's a lot of people that fly in for the games, and they have multiple jobs. They all have jobs outside of the NLL. But one particular game that was supposed to be the opening game, it was the Battle of the Champions. It was us against Saskatchewan, and it was going to be opener. The two champions for the past 2 years, but it got bumped to the game on the 27th of January. So we had about 5-6 weeks to try to turn around and get our theme night going, and it was a difficult, and it was by far our lowest attended game of the year, and that's kind of out of your control. We did everything we could, but we just need more time. It's tough to turn around and sell in 6 weeks. People don't know. We're already fighting with the fact that people in Georgia don't really know what indoor lacrosse is.
Yeah.
People know the outdoor game, but the indoor game, we're doing a lot of educating on top of it. So that was one case with the Swarm. But I remember with the Clippers, I went through 2 years where we lost. 1 year we lost 17 games in a row, and another one we lost 16 games in a row.
That's a rough year.
To start the season. So you could see our attendance was just getting tougher and tougher. And when I first started, I remember one of my managers say, sit down and count all these people in the arena. And I did. I could do it by hand. So you can say that's not a lot of people. That's a direct reflection on a sales department. When you walk into arena and you're a sales guy and you see there's no one in there, like, we take that personally. That's on us. So we have aspects, but I've never been in a situation where the team has failed to do something, or we've had some ticket issues. We've changed some games from the second to the third or something like that will cause problems in show rates, but not a complete fail on the sales side.
Yeah. So how do you rally the team after, the playing team, the players, and the franchise loses 17 straight games? How do you rally the sales team knowing that they're going to be calling people that are not happy with the record and all of those types of things? That sounds like a challenging task as a sales manager.
Oh, yeah. So there's a couple different things I've done. I that's where you come in with, like, work hard, play hard. We're going to work really hard, and we're going to get our butts kicked, and people are going to yell at us, and they're going to be unhappy, but we're going to play hard. We're going to make sure that this is a fun environment for you to work in, and usually you'll get your sales staff to respond to that in itself. Other ways to do so is, we hear no more times than any demographic you're going to hear. And we know that. So you just bond together. You stick together. You do things together. You do special things with the sales team so they know that we have their back. No matter what happens, no matter how much is being yelled at, how unhappy people are, if you need to transfer them to me, I'll take the hit on that. But my job is to teach them how to take a bad situation and turn it into a buying opportunity, because I love when someone's unhappy with the organization or an issue or this or that, because it's just they're telling you exactly, and it's providing you opportunities to solve the problem. And that's what we do. We just solve problems. You think, hey, you want to come to a game, you want to buy tickets, so we'll get them that way, but that's really not how it works. Sports is the connector to everybody. Yeah. It's the last reality programming you're going to see. You don't know how it's going to turn out. Everybody wants to spend time with their family, their friends, their coworkers, and we're the solution, whether it be indoor professional lacrosse, whether it be outdoor swimming, or if it's a youth program somewhere. So that part, we're very lucky to be able to be that much a part of people's lives. And no matter how bad it gets, we can still provide a life-changing moment for a child, for a team, for someone having a birthday. And those are the things that you come back for. That's the stuff that keeps you in this industry, because you can make more money selling other products and other companies. You can work less hours making the same money doing stuff. But sports is it's a unique thing, because we all played in teams. We've all been part of, like, I played baseball in college. It was like there's always something that connects you to the team mindset. We don't have a lot of individuals. We have people that want to be part of team and be part of something bigger themselves. And we provide the roadmap how they can do that and be successful doing it.
Got it. So in being successful, What are some of the sales habits you like to instill on your team?
Good question. I've got a few years on this. I tell you, planning your day is key, and if you can do it the day before, because when you leave work, your inbox should never be empty. Then you don't have enough work to do. Your inbox is always going to have something, so you should be scheduling a day before you leave to come in the next morning, so you come in, hit the ground running. And to avoid a lot of those distraction type of things, 15 minutes here, 20 minutes there, those are key. But scheduling a day, working your plan, holding yourself accountable, rewarding yourself for doing something, for hitting your goals. That's been successful across the board. Money, cash incentives are always key. You get people walking out of a sales office with cash money. That's an incentive in itself. And then as you get to know your sales staff, I do incentives, personal incentives. I know a guy's a sports fan, big football fan, likes concerts, likes time off. I mean, how to put the carrot out in front. So incentives are very key for a sales department, organizing your day. And then you got to have some kind of process to be able to manage your leads, pipeline, the people that you need to call back on Wednesday at 2 o'clock, Friday at 2:15, whatever it may be. You got to have a system in place that's going to work for you. Otherwise, you're just going to spin your wheels and you're going to be missing out on all these things that fall through the cracks.
Yeah, I definitely identify with that one. I spend Sunday evening looking at my calendar and setting targets and block time for things that I need to get done, meetings with clients, everything, the Sunday night before that next week. And when I sit down and do it, it makes a huge difference. When I don't is when I find myself, a little more idle time than I would prefer.
Yes.
So that planning stage is crucial.
Yeah, the proactive versus reactive.
Yeah.
We can all handle reactive, but reactive takes 5-10 minutes to re-engage. Where was I? I'm right in the middle of an email. And we're all trying to work harder, faster, smarter, more efficient. And as you progress, unfortunately, I'm no longer just a sales guy, so therefore there's a lot more stuff that's expected out of me for the organization to be successful. So it's even harder to stay on point with. There are days that I'll schedule my day, and based on what's come in or what kind of reactive stuff we need to deal with, that day is just thrown out the window. And I can feel it. I feel like I'm starting over the next day, like this day was no longer. But I handled the problems I saw, but I didn't get a chance to do what I needed to be successful.
Yeah. You put proactive thought into what was going to happen that day, and it just got derailed.
Yes.
Been there before.
Especially when you're trying to be the example for the sales staff, and you're like, plan your day, do this, hit this. And then, they ask me how I did. I'm like, I didn't do very well.
Right.
But
I didn't hit my own quotas.
Do as I say, not as I do sometimes.
Yeah, some of those days go that way. So I guess the last question I have is, out of all the franchises you've worked for, what's your favorite thing about sales culture at the Swarm? What's the one thing you're like, this is different, this is the best?
Well, I'll tell you what drew me to the Swarm. I did 20 years with the LA Clippers. I started in communications. I moved to sales. I took over a game entertainment role. Then I evolved into a game operations role, and then took over the arena operations for the building with the LA Clippers, all the time progressing in my sales side. So I've done everything there, from booking anthems and halftimes, running the ball boy program, and being the person that deals with the dance team and the junior dance team and the kids and the whole deal. I'm excited about being with the Swarm because I have so much to give back at this stage. I'm still growing every day and I'm still moving forward, but I love the fact to be able to help someone else grow and point them in the right direction. And we have a really good culture for that. We have a lot of people that really haven't had a lot of outside professional sports experience. And, I'll sit in game operation meetings and be like, hey, this would be helpful. Putting together our plans, sales moving forward. Hey, I suggest this. Maybe we should implement this and how we do it operationally, which is fun because I have so many examples that I've succeeded and that I've failed at. So it's just a huge catalog of nope, don't do that. It was a crash and burn. I already know why. I could tell you why, but let's just save us 15 minutes and reliving that painful experience. So that's good. How you even pass out your giveaways in an arena. No, that needs to be passed out on the way out. No, let's do it on the outside of the building, not on the inside. Just little things like that all it takes is one bobblehead to get flown through the arena and land on the field, and I don't know what's going to happen after that. So you're trying to protect the organization, the building. It's, risk management type of things. Same thing in the organization with sales staff, how you treat them. Hey, they're getting burned out. All of a sudden, half your sales team goes down because of illness. These are kind of indicators of we need these guys to be sleeping a little bit more and getting some time at home and taking care of themselves. So, that's what I like about the Swarm. We're a family. It's a close-knit family. We're trying to do the impossible. I mean, we are a professional indoor lacrosse team in Georgia. Now, this is not the state, the state sport. It is a Canadian and a northeastern sport, and we're trying to bring it into Georgia. And it's growing. It's growing. It's not growing as fast as we would like it to, but we're breaking ground. We're running through walls and solving problems and making new fans every game. So I love that about this team and the way in which this organization dives into the community and does everything they can.
Yeah, I know a few short years ago, we would have never thought about playing lacrosse. We didn't even have it. Outside of Gwinnett, you can get into Atlanta, there's teams, but you get further outside of Gwinnett and other, more suburban, rural areas, it doesn't exist. And I know a lot of our coaches and things like that, they didn't play lacrosse unless they moved from the Northeast down to the Southeast. So I can see how that's a challenge, but it definitely seems like it's picking up steam.
It is. That part has been nice. The coaches clinic that we did that you came out to, it's trying to find out exactly. I'm a basketball and a baseball guy, so I didn't play lacrosse. I love it. I enjoy it, and I love the new challenge of learning all about it, but I'll sit down with my clients and they'll inform me about stuff that I don't even know. I feel like we're where the MLS was about 25 years ago. We've got a couple more teams coming in here in the off season. We got another one the following year. I'm hearing we're going to get one down in the Florida region. Okay. So we're going to have a partner. So we got to do sometimes we got to do back-to-backs. We'll play one night and then fly up to Rochester and play the next night. Back-to-backs in any sport.
That's challenging.
And then to do it after a game of lacrosse is physical. So to get them to play their best the following day.
It's not baseball. We're not standing in a field.
No, it is not. It is an aggressive.
Don't want to throw shade on baseball. I know a lot of people like it, but, as compared to lacrosse, it's definitely a lot of movement the entire time.
Constant attack. It's constant physical. It's hockey boards. I mean, I've seen guys getting their face smashed up against the boards. Right. I feel bad, but like I said, is that legal? Can they do that?
Yeah, sure can.
The two-hand stick on the back, that's another one I just can't get over. That they allow that? That's unbelievable. But lacrosse is such a great catch-all. When I was in school, I was a year younger than my class. I started school early. So in football, I got my butt kicked by everybody because everyone was bigger than me. Basketball, I'm a 5'10" white guy. I can only jump so high. I got a good shot, but I'm not fast enough. Right. So, and soccer, too much running for me. Lacrosse is a mix of the physical, the basketball, the back cuts, the revolving defenses, and then you got the soccer mentality of being able to see 2-3 steps ahead. I love it. I wish I would have gotten a chance to play. I think I would have been good at doing it. I played baseball. I'm a big golfer. I got the hand-eye coordination, but I grew up in Northwest Indiana. It's not
a lot of opportunity for lacrosse there.
No. It was just starting to pick up out in Los Angeles when we left. San Diego's got a team out there now. I talked to my friends in L.A., and I'm like, there's a team in San Diego. They're like, what? No, there's not. I'm like, there is. So we're doing a lot of educating. We're trying to get a lot of our community in the building and having some success. Plus, we got a great product, man. We really got a good team. We got a good environment. We're real excited about where we're going, and our organization's going to grow as we keep developing.
Yeah, well, thank you so much for joining us on the podcast and sharing all of that with us about the Georgia Swarm, sales culture, sports culture, and sales in general. I don't think we've had anybody on that has near this amount of experience in the sports industry. So
Thanks for having me. I appreciate that. Thanks.
Thank you for tuning in to today's episode of the Epic Company Culture Podcast with Josh Sweeney. If you enjoyed this content, please subscribe on iTunes, SoundCloud, or Stitcher. For additional content and transcripts, visit epicculture.co. If you have questions or topics you would like us to address or expand on, tweet us at EpicCulture1 or email at podcast@epicculture.co.